refried beans, ranchero sauce, a couple of fried eggs, and you've got yourself one mean Huevos Rancheros in the making. It all starts with fresh salsa, aka salsa fresca, aka pico de gallo, aka salsa bandera, aka... I'm out. I'm small dicing about half a kilo of these beauties to a size suitable for fresh salsa. And what's a pico de gallo without some onion? A standard yellow onion works great, but most, if not any color, will do you just fine. This is getting topped, tailed, halved, peeled, and diced to about a medium dice, whatever size that is, before being acquainted to the blush tomatoes. We're next gonna introduce a chili to the mix, the variety of which comes down entirely to one's personal preference for heat. We're giving it a quick slice business and adjoining it to the salsa bowl. By the way, how cool is this garlic? Apparently it's called solo garlic because it's a whole bulb on its own. I find that to be rather cool. What do you think? Especially as someone who doesn't enjoy peeling garlic particularly much, solo garlic felt much easier to peel than what my experience with regular garlic usually is. When cutting, I treated this more like an onion, getting rid of the root, halving it, and then giving it the chefy treatment to get it to a minced looking shape. And yes, regular garlic is absolutely fine. And yes, you should probably use a garlic press and spare yourself the trouble. Solo, regular, or whatever garlic you decide to use goes in. And we can come behind with the juice of one whole lime, a strong few cracks of salt, and we're giving everyone a good mix and a taste. We're gonna save a few heaping tablespoons of the stuff for plating later, and the rest we're turning into our ranchero sauce. To a preheated pan set over medium heat, I'm adding a couple of generous tablespoons of olive oil and letting it come up in temper touch, before adding the non-reserved part of the salsa. Stirring continuously over medium-high heat, the cherries will quickly start breaking down into a gnarly sauce that is pretty universal and can be used for a variety of delicious stuff. This is kinda optional, but I felt like enhancing the tomatoey flavor of the tomatoes with about a tablespoon of tomato paste would benefit the tomato sauce. And while you're very unlikely to see this in any authentic recipe, a tablespoon or so of balsamic vinegar can really add depth and lift up a tomatoey sauce. Plus you get the added effect of an even deeper color. Give this a quick taste for any seasoning missing and we can move on to the refried beans section of today's show. And what a better place to start the segment than chorizo. Chorizo is one of those ingredients that packs a fucking punch and can make a dish on its own. So it was an easy sell. Note to self, check for any casing that may still be attached to your sausage before committing to slicing. We want to get to small, even cubes that are easy to handle, but this size will also give us a good amount of surface area in the pan, which in turn will allow us to render out the chorizo fat, which is full of fiery flavor. Starting from a cold stainless steel pan set over low-medium heat, a few minutes of continuous stirring will melt the flavors and fat, giving us a rich, spicy oil to play with. This is when we want to add a tinful of black beans, along with its soaking liquid, and crank up the heat to medium-high. Using our trusty fork, we're cooking everyone whilst breaking down the beans till the juices have cooked out and we have a pretty thick and delicious refried bean situation on our hands. This, I admit, is probably a touch over the top, but I find that these greatly benefit from a tablespoon or two of sour cream that adds an additional touch of acidity and some much appreciated creaminess. Check for seasoning and we're moving into the final stretch. I've got myself a couple of wheat tortillas. Ideally, smaller would have been better. These are getting coated with a touch of olive oil, making sure to cover all of the surface area, using any means necessary. A crack of salt each, and we're gonna turn one of the two into tortilla chips to go with our final dish. These are going in a preheated oven set to 150 Celsius for about 8 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, we can finally tend to the huevos part of the recipe, which is perhaps the quickest of the bunch. We're frying a couple of eggs per person, any way you prefer. I'm using a teaspoon of ghee that's going in a preheated on medium-high heat non-stick frying pan, cracking my eggs in and giving them the salt and pepper treatment. Around this point, my tortillas were done toasting and I took them out to prevent any burning, while the eggs finished frying a few short moments from now. Alright, let's recap. Ranchero sauce, refried chorizo beans, fresh salsa, some lime, some avocado, a bit of cilantro, and the tortilla chips. Okay. Pretty cool. Starting off with the refried beans, we're smothering our main tortilla so that we have a solid foundation. We're then coming behind with a few tablespoons of ranchero sauce, our just fried huevos, some fresh salsa for additional brightness, a few meticulously positioned avocado slices, a touch of cilantro for an herby kick, and lastly a squeeze of lime juice for good measure. And we're done. This is one hefty meal, but I'm excited about every single bit of it. The tortilla chips doing a fine job at scooping the runny yolks. But tackling this beast of a dish feels overwhelming at first, until you give in to the temptation. I never said this was gonna be pretty, and perhaps smaller tortillas would have been a better fit, but nonetheless, everything here is singing in harmony. The refried beans pack a punch, the ranchero sauce lends a zingy balance, while the huevos are just the icing on the cake, giving you a delicious focal point and bringing everything together. What a dish to have in your arsenal. But of course, I wouldn't expect you to just take my word for it. Make your own.